It was a scorching Thursday afternoon at a dusty gas station in the middle of the desert highway, the kind of forgotten spot where weary travelers grab cheap coffee and lone riders fuel up before vanishing into the horizon. Mike Savage Thompson was topping off his rumbling Harley when a piercing scream shattered the lazy hum of the Pumsara. Desperate cry that sliced through the air like a knife. Mike's senses sharpened instantly. 2 decades thundering with the Shadow Riders MC had honed his edge to spot genuine terror from miles away. This wasn't some petty argument or overblown tantrum. This was pure life or death panic. He strode toward the dingy convenience store, his worn leather jacket emblazoned with intimidating patches that screamed out law to anyone who dared look twice. But before he could yank the door open, a tiny girl exploded out, sprinting wildly, her dark braids flying, cheeks smeared with dirt and tears, barreling straight into his path. Please pretend you're my dad," she begged, clutching his massive hand with her small, shaking ones. Mike froze, solid. In all his rough years on the road, no one had ever pegged him as father material. He was the towering figure folks dodged on sidewalks, the one Loman tailed with suspicion, the man parents yanked their kids away from in a heartbeat. Yet here was this scared 6-year-old, latching onto him like he was her lifeline in a storm. If this gut punch of a moment tugs at your heart, drop a comment below, saying, "Protect the innocent." Sophia and Mike spotted him, a guy in his mid-30s, slinking out of the store, eyes darting like a predator on the prowl. He looked utterly average in faded jeans and a plain t-shirt, but those eyes held a chilling, calculated glint as they scanned the lot. The girl huddled behind Mike's legs, her whole body quaking. "He's not my real dad," she whimpered. "He snatched me from the playground. Don't let him get me again." Mike's blood turned to ice. He didn't need more details to act. He positioned his broad frame like a human shield between her and the approaching threat, every muscle coiled for whatever came next. The man's gaze locked on them, and he plastered on a fake, oily grin that never touched his soulless eyes. "Sophie, honey, you gave me a real fright. Come on over here now." The girl's fingers dug into Mike's hand like tiny vices, her fear radiating up his arm. Mike's voice rumbled low and menacing, a growl forged in countless barroom standoffs. "She ain't going anywhere with you. I'm her uncle, and she's just pitching a fit 'cause I said no to that candy bar. Kids, right?" The man's smile held, but Mike had read faces like his in high-stakes games, where one wrong read meant lights out. This creep was pure deception, every inch screaming danger. "Sophie," Mike asked, without breaking his stare, "is this your uncle?" "No," she breathed, barely audible. "I don't know him at all." "Eliatuma." The man's expression twisted into something ugly. "Mind your own business, pal. This is family stuff. Sophie, get over here this instant." Mike fished out his phone with his free hand, his thumb hovering over the screen. "Fine. Then you won't mind me looping in the cops to straighten this mess out." That's when the facade Shatura the man lunged for his pocket, panic flashing across his face. Mike's reflexes fired like lightning, years of street brawls kicking in as he seized the guy's wrist and wrenched it back with a sharp twist. The man yelped in pain, and his phone tumbled out, screen flickering to life just long enough for Mike to glimpse a damning chat log, secured a new one dark hair, around Say's drop-off at the old spot in 90 minutes. Rage surged through Mike like wildfire. In the gritty world of motorcycle clubs, there were unspoken codes, even rebels honored, and preying on kids. That was the ultimate betrayal, the kind that rallied every patched brother against you. Stick around till the end, because what unfolds when Mike dials a single number transforms this roadside nightmare into a full-blown takedown that unmasks horrors hidden in plain sight. Before we dive deeper, if you're feeling that pull to spread kindness, hit that like button, subscribe to Kin's Stories Global, and comment what you would have done in Mike's boots would you have stepped up. Mike kept his iron grip on the writhing man's arm while thumbing a call with his other hand not to the authorities. Not just yet. He rang someone who could mobilize faster than any badge. "Tank, it's Savage. Round up the boys at the old Texaco off Route 66. What's the play?" Tank's gravelly voice boomed back. Kid Snatcher. In progress, and we gotta lock this down before he alerts his scum buddies. The man squirmed harder, desperation turning to fury. Mike squeezed until he felt bones protest. Twitch again, and I snap it clean. Got me! Sophie sniffled softly behind him, her trust in the stranger hanging by a thread. Mike dropped his tone to something gentler, almost foreign to his own ears. Hey, little one, what's your real name? Sophie Lee, she murmured, peeking out. All right, Sophie. I'm Mike, and I swear on my ride. This monster won't lay a finger on you or any kid ever again. The thunder of engines echoed across the barren lot in under 4 minutes. 8 Harleys roaring in like avenging storms, piloted by men who embodied every parent's nightmare, tattooed giants with battle scars and auras that cleared rooms. But Sophie didn't flinch. Maybe she sensed the shift, how these rough exteriors masked hearts ready to defend the defenseless. Tank, a hulking bear of a man with a salt and pepper beard and biceps like steel cables, dismounted first, sizing up the scene with eyes that turned lethal in a blink. This, the filth you meant. Phone's got the proof, Mike grunted, flipping it to him. Tank thumbed through, his face darkening like a gathering thunderhead, then passed it to Shadow, their wiry tech whiz. How deep does this rabbit hole go? At least 10 kids in the past 4 months from these texts alone, Shad muttered, fingers flying. He's linked to a whole ring handlers. Buyers, a rendezvous point hitting in under 2 hours. If this revelation boils your blood even a tad, smash that like, so we amplify these tales of unexpected heroes. The captive started babbling excuses. You got it all wrong. Mike slammed him against his beat-up sedan. Wrong. I get evil like you exists, but I'm ending it here. Tank laid a heavy hand on Mike's shoulder, his voice a low rumble of reason. Easy, savage. We play smart bag the whole nest, not just this worm. Mike nodded, reining in the storm inside. In his wilder days, he'd have ended it messily right there. But this was bigger than vengeance. It was about shattering chains for good. Shadow cracked the phone's deeper layers in moments. Drop sights an old mill on the east edge, primed for tonight. Mike crouched to Sophie's eye level, his massive form softening as much as it could. Sophie, I gotta ask some tough stuff, can? You'll be my brave sidekick. She nodded, fresh tears welling but holding back. Did he hurt you at all? No, he tricked me, said. My mom was hurt bad and he was taking me to her, but he drove the wrong way. And when he stopped for gas, Mike's chest swelled with pride for her grit. This pint-sized warrior had engineered her own escape. You know your mom's number. She recited it flawlessly. Mike dialed, and a frantic woman's voice answered mid-ring. Mrs. Lee, Mike Thompson here. At the Texaco on Route 66. I've got Sophie, she's okay. Safe with me. Sobs erupted on the line. Oh my God, we've searched everywhere. The cops brushed me off, said wait a day, but I knew. Ma'am, the creeps pinned down. But call Detective Lisa Ramirez at State PD. Tell her Mike Savage from Shadow Riders needs her here, ASAP she. Get it? A beat of silence. The biker gang. Yara Rep precedes us. But today, we're the cavalry. Detective Ramirez rolled up 35 minutes later with 2 squads in tow. Sharp woman in her 40s. Veteran of gang busts, with a wary respect for the riders after years of katana. Savage, she greeted, eyeing the tableau. Your tip mentioned trafficking. Mike handed over the unlocked phone. Goldmine in their locations, names, logs, stretching back quarters. He grabbed Sophie from the neighborhood park 2 hours back. Ramirez scrolled, her jaw clenching tighter with each vile entry. This nails warrants on a dozen at least. How'd you stumble in? She asked me to play dad, Mike said plainly. Kids got killer instincts. Sophie's mom screeched in moments later, knees buckling at the sight of her daughter. Sophie dashed into her arms, their embrace a torrent of relieved tears. But before driving off, Sophie turned, eyes shining. Thanks, Makir, my hero. That simple word cracked something deep in Mike's armored heart. After years of shadows and regrets, being seen as a savior felt like sunlight piercing storm clouds. You heroed yourself, Kiddo, smart move, running to me. Mrs. Lee approached, voice breaking. I owe you everything, bikers or not. You're angels today. If this heart-tugging rescue has you hooked, like the video, subscribe to Kinnon's Stories Global. Comment what you would have done if you were Mike. Step in, or walk away, and share this story far and wide to inspire more acts of courage. Detective Ramirez studied the scene for a long moment, the weight of what she'd just uncovered settling like lead in her gut. She turned to Mike, her expression a mix of professional caution and something almost like respect. Savage, this is enough to bury a network. But if we move now without preparation, they scatter like roaches. Mike met her eyes, unflinching. Then we don't let them scatter. They expect one guy to show up at that mill with a kid. What if a whole crew rolls in instead? Ramirez's eyebrows shot up. You're talking about going in yourselves? Undercover? That's not just risky, it's insane. Mike gave the ghost of a smile. Insane is what we do best, detective. And unlike your guys, if things go sideways, we know how to survive sideways. Tank stepped forward, his voice low thunder. He's not riding in alone. The whole chapter backs him. Ramirez looked from one scarred, leather-clad face to the next. She knew the Shadow Riders' reputation: drugs, guns, barroom legends that ended with broken bottles and broken bones. Yet here they stood, asking to risk everything for children they'd never met. After a silence that felt like forever, she exhaled, sharply. This conversation never happened. If Anjane I6 you were never here. You understand me? Mike nodded once. Crystal. The abandoned mill loomed on the horizon like a skeleton against the dying orange sky-rusted metal walls. Shattered windows. The kind of place where bad things go to hide. Exactly 90 minutes after the scheduled drop, 8 Harleys thundered up the cracked access road, engines snarling in perfect unison. 3 men waited outside, tense, hands near waistbands. They stiffened when they saw the size of the arriving group, but the moment their eyes landed on the Shadow Riders' patches, something shifted. Criminals recognize other criminals. They relax. They trust. You're late, the tallest one growled, trying to sound tough. Mike killed his engine and swung a leg over, letting his 6'4" frame unfold like a warning. Had to make sure the heat wasn't on our tail. You got the product? The word tasted like acid on his tongue. The leader glanced at the others, then jerked his head toward the dark doorway. Inside, but we weren't expecting a whole damn chapter. Mike's voice stayed flat, dangerous. My brothers ride where I ride. You got a problem with that? A beat. Then the man shrugged. No problem. Follow me. They stepped into hell. The cavernous interior stank of mold, motor oil, and fear. 12 children sat on filthy blankets along the far wall, ages 5 to maybe 11. Some rocked silently, eyes glassy. Others clutched each other, tiny bodies trembling. One little girl, no older than 4, stared at the newcomers with the empty look of someone who'd already given up hoping. Mike felt the rage rise like bile, but he locked it down. Not yet. The leader spread his arms like a salesman. Take your pick. Cash up front, wire transfer. Whatever. Prices are firm. Mike looked back at his brothers. Every face was stone, but their eyes burned. These were men who'd done plenty. They weren't proud of deals in dark parking lots, fists in back alleys, but this was a different species of evil. He turned slowly to the trafficker. I got a better idea. The man smirked. Yeah, what's that? Mike's voice dropped to a lethal whisper. You and your friends get face down on the concrete, right now, or we make sure you never stand up again. The smirk vanished. You're cops. Worse, Mike said. I'm someone who actually gives a damn. That was the signal. Every door and broken window exploded inward at once. Detective Ramirez and 20 state police officers poured in, weapons drawn, voices booming. State police. Everyone on the ground. Now, the traffickers froze for one fatal second, then chaos. 2 tried to run. 1 reached for a hidden pistol. They didn't get far. Between the riders' lightning reflexes and the tactical team's precision, The building was locked down in under 25 seconds. Mike moved straight to the children. He dropped to one knee so he wouldn't tower over them, voice soft as he could make it. "Hey, my name's Mike. Those are police officers. They're here to take you home. You're safe now, I promise." A small boy with tear-streaked cheeks looked up at him, voice tiny. "Are you one of the bad guys?" The question landed like a sledgehammer to the chest. Mike swallowed hard. "Not today, little man. Not today." The aftermath was organized bedlam. EMTs swarmed the kids, wrapping them in blankets, checking vitals. Child services coordinators worked phones frantically, matching names to desperate parents already en route. Detective Ramirez directed it all with calm steel. Mike stayed against the wall, arms crossed, watching child after child be led to safety. For the first time in 20 years, he felt something bigger than survival, something that felt dangerously close to purpose. Ramirez finally approached, expression unreadable. "We need to talk." "Here it comes," Mike thought. The part where she cuffs him for everything from impersonating law enforcement to vigilantism. Instead, she said, "I spent 15 years convinced the Shadow Riders were just another cancer we needed to cut out. Today you handed me the largest child trafficking bust in state history. 12 kids are going home tonight because a bunch of outlaws decided to do the right thing." She extended her hand. "Thank you." Mike stared at it for a second, then shook it, feeling like he'd stepped into someone else's life. "Don't make me regret this, Savage. I'm gonna have a mountain of paperwork explaining how a civilian motorcycle crew just happened to be in the middle of a major tactical tank rumbled from behind. "Our lips are sealed, Detective. We were never here." Ramirez gave the smallest smile. "Exactly." Then, quieter, but off the record. "If you ever stumble across something like this again, call me. We'll do it right. And if the system moves too slow, call me anyway. I'll find a way to speed it up." As she walked away, Tank stepped closer. "Never thought I'd live to see the day we were shaking hands with 5-0. Mike watched a father drop to his knees as his daughter was placed in his arms, the man holding her like she might disappear again if he let go. "Me neither," Mike said quietly. "But those kids needed someone, and we were there." That night, the Shadow Riders clubhouse was standing room only. Every patched member from 3 counties showed up. Prospects lined the walls, silent, feeling the gravity of what had happened. Mike stood at the front, looking at the faces he'd bled with, laughed with, fought with. "Today we crossed a line," he began. "Not the kind we usually cross. We pulled 12 kids out of the dark. Not for money, not for power, not for respect. We did it because it was right." Murmurs rippled through the room, some nods, some stiff silence. "I know who we are," Mike continued. "We've broken laws. We've hurt people. We've got stains we can't wash off. But there are lines that still matter. And today reminded me where they are." He held up the trafficker's phone, now evidence, but the messages still burned in everyone's memory. Children reduced to inventory. Prices. Shipping dates. This is evil. Pure. And if we turn our backs on it, then what the hell separates us from them? Just the patches on our backs. A long silence. Then Hema, one of the oldest members, spoke up. "You saying we turn vigilante now?" "I'm saying we use what we already got." Mike, unsweated. Eyes on every street. Chapters in every state. Connections the cops can never have. From this day forward, anyone trafficking kids in our territory is declaring war on the entire Brotherhood. More silence. Tank rose. His voice was rough. "My little sister vanished when she was 9. Never found her. If this stops even one family from living that nightmare, I'm in." Hands went up around the room. Not every single one, but most. 6 months later, Mike sat on a bench outside a small community center. The club had quietly rebuilt. After-school programs, self-defense classes for kids, laughter echoing off walls that used to be empty. Sophie Lee ran across the grass and threw herself into his arms like she did every Saturday. Every time, something inside Mike's chest cracked a little wider open. The ring was dismantled. 23 arrests. Dozens of children returned. But Mike still remembered that dusty gas station, that terrified whisper. Please pretend you're my dad. He'd spent a lifetime being the man people warned their children about. Sophie saw something else. A protector. Mrs. Lee once told him, tears in her eyes. You didn't just save my daughter. You showed me help can ride in on a Harley and still have the biggest heart in the room. Mike never liked praise. He just shrugged. I didn't walk away. That's all. And maybe that's the difference. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. A trembling voice. Mr. Thompson? My son didn't come home from school. Police say, wait 24 hours. I can't. Mike stood, already reaching for his keys. Tank and 3 others appeared at his side without a word. Engines growled to life. Once that sound meant fear. Now it meant hope. Sophie looked up at him one last time before running back to play, smiling wide. Are you still my pretend dad? Mike crouched, brushed a braid from her face. Anytime you need me, kid. Anytime. Because sometimes the scariest men become the fiercest guardians, and sometimes pretending to be someone's dad for 3 minutes changes everything forever. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me what would you have done if you were Mike. Would you have stepped in? Share this video so more people can see that real courage sometimes wears leather and rides a Harley. And if you want more stories of unexpected kindness that can restore your faith in humanity, subscribe to Kindon Stories Global and turn on notifications, because the world still has heroes. They just don't always look the way we expect. Thank you for watching.